Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so I was saying about the conditioning, speaking and things like that, and obviously the whole idea of waking up is becoming aware of the conditioning and actually trying to break through it, and that isn't always an easy process, right? As you can probably tell, because all your belief systems are literally just being shattered. Something you've believed in for such a long time, and yeah, I've been on this journey for like, fuck knows, about 2.5 years maybe, I don't know. And yeah, it's been a fucking up and down path because like sometimes I've just lost myself in it completely and I've just like, I don't know, I just turned to drugs and alcohol because I didn't feel like I fit it, like I didn't feel as though I fitted in with other people around me, because obviously I was trying to explain these things, like these out there things to other people, and I just got blank faces. But like that's conditioning of them people, isn't it? And we're all conditioned to a certain extent, but like when you become aware of the conditioning and you're looking around you and maybe you're having conversations with other people who just don't seem to be aware of their own mind and their own way that they're talking, and they're just so like, I don't know, I guess sucked into the matrix, and they don't, it's just I guess it makes me realise how far I've come. Like, I think I need to give myself a little bit more credit for that, because I am quite hard on myself in not knowing where I'm going. No one fucking knows where they're going, Steph. Yeah, so, because that used to be me. I didn't used to be aware. I didn't used to think about these sorts of things. I didn't used to be aware of myself. I just thought, well, I was just me. Like, that was it. I didn't give it a second thought. I didn't think, what is this consciousness looking out of this body? Like, what's happening? I didn't used to ask things like that. And yeah, now you got people who are like all they care about is like the way they look and the way they act, and just, do I fit into socially accepted standards, and yeah, things like that. And it's just fucked up, to be honest. I need something to play with. Okay. Yeah. So being awake in a world full of people who are sleeping, it's sort of frustrating sometimes, but it's okay, because I guess you just have to stay on a certain vibrational level and not like get too tangled up in other people's shit. And yeah, and I think drugs are a great catalyst to awakening, because yeah, like at first I was like, oh, maybe that was just me. Maybe I was just like a lucky one who got through this. And I say lucky, but like, yeah, obviously I'm still part of the system, and I think I'm probably even more frustrated with it now that I can take a step back and realise that it is all just an illusion, and I still have to be a part of that in some way. Than someone who would perhaps never realise that, and they're just like constantly working towards this goal, head on for the rest of their lives. And yeah, if you eventually get there and realise they weren't happy, and it's not really, wasn't really what they wanted after all. So I don't know. I guess yeah. I've got to be thankful for the way things have turned out, because, yeah, it could be worse. I could have been one of those people who never realised until later on in life, or perhaps never realised at all, and just spent their whole life working for a corporation that didn't care about them, didn't give them any love or nothing. So, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna tell a story now. It's about a Buddhist monk and a golden Buddha. And you might have heard it before. So anyway, so one day there was some monks, and they used to pray to a big golden Buddha statue. And at some point, the little colony, it was due to be invaded by some soldiers. So obviously the golden Buddha is worth something. So what they did was they covered it all in stone from head to toe, so completely covered. And yeah, so when the soldiers came to invade, they looked at the golden Buddha, or they looked at the stone Buddha, which is what they thought it was, and saw no worth in it at all, so they just kept going. And yeah, so anyway, the soldiers had driven out the Buddhist monks who were there before, and a few hundred years later, it got recolonized with a different generation of monks. So one day, a young monk was praying to the Buddha statue, which was still covered in stone at this point. And when he finished his meditation, he stood up and he knocked a part of the stone off the Buddha, which obviously, revealed some of the gold underneath, which was the Buddha's true self. So, like, he was obviously extremely excited about this. So he went back to tell his monk friends that the Buddha was really gold. And they're all extremely ecstatic. So they all went out there and they're all chipping away at this Buddha, trying to get all the stone off of it, to essentially expose the gold Buddha. And yeah, so okay, so let's translate this back into reality. And it is a metaphor for ourselves, essentially, because yeah, well, basically throughout our lives, well, when we're a child, we're the golden Buddha, because we haven't been conditioned in any way, we haven't been covered up, we haven't got all these belief systems which have surrounded us and taken over our true self and hidden our true identity. And yeah, so some of us, we stay that stone Buddha for the rest of our lives. We never get a glimpse at the gold underneath us. But if something happens, like perhaps a traumatic event, that exposes part of our true essence, and that's why a lot of awakening comes from conflict, a state of, I don't know, yeah, just a bad state. So yeah, and obviously when we've exposed a little bit of the gold, we want to expose more of it, and that's what life's about. For an awakening person, it's like you pierce the illusion a little bit, and you just have to keep going. You have to expose more and more, and yeah, I really like that story, so I thought I'd tell it. And I guess the soldiers are the people who, I guess they could be society, couldn't they? Because they're the catalyst for having to cover up the true identity. Because obviously, if the true identity is exposed to society, then well, if people don't cover up our true identity and we don't have all these belief systems, then we won't function in this society, and society wouldn't be the way it was. So yeah, maybe the soldiers are society or the government or things like that. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to end off that video there, so if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and yeah.